Sorry if you hear my dog barking downstairs. My husband is playing with her. Hi, I'm Libby, and I want to go over my book journal and book tracking logs for the beginning of this year. I love book journaling. I have book journaled for quite a few years now. However, there was a period of time where I wasn't a huge fan of how I was doing my book journaling. I really like doing journaling and bullet journaling in general for quite some time. And then I was getting too fed up with it because I couldn't keep up with it a lot of the time. I took way too long putting stuff together, and I got not like overly upset, probably more upset than I should be, because it's just a journal of any time I messed up, or I would make this super amazing layout and then, you know, something would happen that would make me need to change it or add something in, and it wasn't super easy to edit it that way. And then I asked for an iPad to be able to do some more journaling digitally, and I have loved it ever since. I use an app called Zinnia. I do pay a yearly subscription for it. Works exactly for what I need it to. So I thought I would show you my little book journal layouts for this year. And then I also have a couple of spreadsheets that I keep for just keeping track of some other things that I think look really cool in a spreadsheet format. It is Zinnia, so whenever you first open it up, this is what it looks like. You can add a bunch of journals. They also have ready to use journals down here. Those are cool. I don't really do one where it's weekly or daily, not even really a monthly one too much about like my daily life or anything like that. That's too much for me to have to keep up with. Then I have a book journal and a Booksta book journal. The Booksta journal is so I can keep all of my layouts for my Bookstagram kind of separately than my actual just regular book journal stuff. 4 pages are the book counter. So this is how you know how many books I have. Right now we are at 354. The ones that are like highlighted in the orange, those are all of Michael's books, so my husband's books. We do have all of like our kid books, our like childhood books in here as well, which does help with that count, getting it pretty high up. But we also do have a lot of just regular adult level books. And then this is just some books that my friend Megan wants me to read as well. Then we go here, this is my TBR tracker. I've already kind of talked about this one. So I have it all laid out. It is over 2 pages. I'm hoping that we can get it down. This is my little key, is if it's physical, Kindle, or audiobook here. And then I also have it laid out over here. These are my starting totals for the year. And as you can see, I've already finished one. It already has its little X. This is my like kind of series tracker. I don't use this one as much. It's just kind of nice to look at. I have a better series tracker now on my spreadsheet, so I'll show you that later. But this is kind of it. It's not updated with like all of the actual series that I want to finish and read and stuff like that. But as you can see, I do have on here Legendborn and Fourth Wing. I have those, and those are marked off with the first ones being read. Hopefully I can continue those. Now we get to the actual yearly stuff. So this is my cover for year of 2025 book journaling, very cute. I have one for 2024 as well as the end of 2023 because that's when I got it. So I was only able to do it for like a couple months at the end of the year, but this is my second full year. And then these are my goals. So I've already gone over all of these in my last video of my book goals for 2025. The thing that I really love about Zinnia is that they always give you more and more updates. Like almost every month there's an update with new stickers, new paper packs, new collections, and they just came out with like a new function, a new thing that it can do. So on here, I have all of these circles next to them, and before you weren't able to do this, but now if I just click the circle, it'll give it a check mark. And so I don't have to go and get a check mark or make my own check mark. I can just do that. And that's so cool. I just thought it was the coolest thing. They also have it for a couple other things like progress bars, or they have it for 5 stars. So me rating my books became a lot easier. They don't have it where you can do half stars with those. So if I rate something like 3.5 stars, I will have to get the pre-made one already, but I still think it's really cool. So I love that. This is my states challenge. This is how I keep track of it, as well as on Storygraph. but I fill in the state as soon as I finish it. All so pretty. And then next to all of the state names, you can obviously see what book I read. And I love seeing it. And I love seeing the map kind of fill up, and coloring in the states can be pretty fun, pretty relaxing. So my next one is showing off my Fairy Loot reads that I'm getting through. So I have my section of pre-owned before 2025, and then I have the ones listed for the rest of the year. Haven't gotten my January one yet. Usually get those at the end of the month, so I'll update that when it gets here. You can see up here we have a little check mark. That was just one. That's not one of the you click it check marks, but this one is one of the ones where you click it and it does the stars for you. So I think that's really cool. And they have a bunch of different options of what they can look like as well. And then this is my 25 and 2025. I talked about that challenge. So these are the 25 books that I already own that I want to get through this year. I have not finished any yet, but I have added a couple things. So this is the star tracker that I'm going to have over top of them to show, hey, I finished it and this is how many stars it was, just because I think it'd be cool to look at the end of the year, the star ratings that I gave everything. And if it was a lot of really high rated books that I pre-owned, then that makes me feel good that I am buying and owning books that are good, that I will enjoy. And then another thing, I'm reading Daughter of the Pirate King right now, so I added these little progress bars. I'm still pretty early in that one and also pretty early in this one, but this one's nonfiction, so it's going to take me a minute. And then this next one is my monthly layout. So I'll just zoom in for January over here. So I like to kind of show when I've been reading books, or, you know, kind of show physically how long it took me to read a book. And then down here, just keeping track of like, these are the books that I read, those are the star ratings as well. And then this is the one that will be for February. They also put in another new function where I don't have to go and find the template for February. It'll date it itself whenever you are in that month. So that makes it very easy at the start of the month to set it up. Right now it looks really bare because if I try to set it up, it'll just give me the January layout. And that's not what I want. I want February. This next layout I absolutely love. I think they're so cute. I had a very similar layout last year. I changed just a couple of things. I really liked using it last year, so I just changed a couple of things and I kind of changed the color scheme of it, and I love the color scheme of it for this year. I love the green with kind of the very light pinks as well. So on this side, it is the books by month. So over here, we have all of the different months, and next to it, next to January, is a nice little blue blob. So every time there's a blue blob, those were all the books I read in January. And then down here at the bottom is the pages by month. So as you can see, the first one starts at 800 and we go all the way up to about 3,000. Now you might say, wow, 800 pages is your bare minimum to read in a month. Yes, because even last year when I had really bad reading months, I always got over 800 pages that I read that month. So that's why it's my bare minimum, and that way I can go all the way up to 3,100 pages. There was one month last year that I surpassed that, but for the most part, I don't typically get all the way up to 3,000 pages. And then up here, I have my total books, total pages. So where it says total right now, I will erase that and put the actual total number of books that I read. Same with the pages. So for most of the year, they just say total because I don't want to change them every single time. I'd like to see what the total is at the end of the year. And then over 500 pages, I do keep track of this. So anytime I do finish a book that is 500 pages or more, I will add it to that total. I don't really do the minimum or maximum pages yet. I just pick that up from the end of the year. And then the author section, I did change this time. Last time I had it broken up by gender of the authors that I was reading, as well as where they were from. I didn't really like doing the where they were from. Unfortunately, I do read a lot of American authors. I do branch out a good bit, but it was like too many things to try to keep track of. And I kept having to add new ones, and it was a lot. So I'd much rather do it this way. So I have male, female, as well as non-binary. And then down here is my genre. So these are the genres that I mainly read last year. I might take off some of them. They might have no tick marks next to them, and there might be a new one that comes on there. But the main ones that I read are contemporary, romance, and fantasy. And then we have even more book stats. I love my stats, as you can tell. So this is one that I've been doing for quite a while as well. I think even for my first year, I really like this format. I did add a little section to it. But here I just keep tally marks for my star ratings. I don't always keep track of the DNFs on here because whenever I don't finish a book, I don't really go to my book journal to say like, hey, I didn't finish a book. I'm more just disappointed and return it to the library or put it away and move on. And then I'll keep track of the pages. I really like my breakdown because on Storygraph, it doesn't break it down as much. And so it always makes me feel really bad for books that I read that are less than 300 pages. But a lot of the times it's because it's like between 200 and 299. And I'm like, that's still a lot. That's not like I'm reading an 80-page book or something. I don't know. So I really like this breakdown as well as it kind of shows me most of what I read is in the 300 to 499 range, but I like to see kind of, did I read more 300 books or 400-page books? And then the 500 page is usually just like a handful of books there. And then we have our format down here at the bottom, again, just keeping tallies, so print, audio, or ebook. There are times where I listen to a mixture, so I'll listen to an audiobook while I also have the print copy, and I might pick up the print and read through it sometimes and then listen to just the audiobook version. I try not to mark it as both because then I think it just makes the numbers skewed too much because I do it so often. So I just pick whichever format I use the most for that year. So the little portion that I added is just this little box up here. It says library borrows. So I don't really borrow any library books physically. So I do get ebooks and audiobooks from the library, so I keep track of it here. I was keeping track of like how much money I was saving, so I would look up the Amazon price of the ebook or the audiobook that I checked out from the library to add up and see how much money I was saving. And I liked that for a while. I thought it was really fun. I see that I save a lot of money by using the library, like at least $700 a year. So that's great. It was also a lot for me to keep track. So I've really honed down how much I'm keeping track of and how much I'm journaling, just because I want it to be a little bit more streamlined, a little bit easier for me. I've also changed the way that I do reviews. I used to write reviews on my iPad, which wasn't super fun, and I would keep the reviews pretty short because typing on it is not the most enjoyable thing and it gets really annoying. So my reviews were usually pretty short and I didn't like that. So now I just do my reviews on Goodreads on my phone where I can just type it up myself manually. And it's a lot easier that way. And also there are some books that I have a lot to say about and a lot of things to put in my review, and then some books I don't have much to say. I'm like, it just wasn't for me. Hope you enjoy it. And then this is our last layout, is my year in books. I made this, a similar version to this, my first year that I was doing book journaling digitally, and I thought it was really cute and I wanted to bring it back but kind of change it up a little bit. So I have my little orange cat on there in reference to my orange cat Jasper. And then all of these books, the first time I did it, I drew all the books and that was a lot to do. And I filled all of them in and that was a lot to do. So this time, it's another one of their new features. I can just click on the books and they will fill themselves in. And so as you can see, there's pretty obvious like which book stacks are put together and things like that. But I really like it because then it's just like a little simple tap, but it's still filling out my bookshelf and I think it's cute. Now to show you my book spreadsheets. So this is the first spreadsheet. It's rather large, right? But this is my series tracker. I absolutely love it. It's a lot on here. So let's see if we can just zoom in a little bit. So over here we have our sagas, and then as you go down, you have trilogies and duologies. So the sagas here, as well as each one has a column for owned as well as read. So I own all of the Percy Jackson and the Olympians. I have read the first one, currently reading the second one. I have read the first 5. I haven't read these 2, but I'm rereading those 5. So that's why. Same with Heroes of Olympus. I have read them before, but I'm rereading them. That's why they're unchecked. And then when I finish that series, I can just click this little done button, which I love that. So we have Percy Jackson and the Olympians, her Heroes of Olympus, the Prince's Saga. I know it only has 3 right now, but it says it's going to continue, and I hope it does. So I hope to read more of those. I do have the second one. I want to read that this year, and maybe get the third one. Dark Shores, I believe that's by Danielle Jensen. Seems like really cool, at least the first one, and so we'll see. And I really like this on spreadsheet because it makes it really easy for me to be able to be like, yeah, I didn't like this one, and I can just delete it very easily without messing up the formatting too terribly much. Entangled with the Fae, this is a bunch of like fairy tale retellings, and so I love that. The Raven Cycle, I've heard really good things about that from one of my friends, so I want to read it as well. Hunger Games is I still need to read the 4th one. I obviously have read the first 3, loved those, but I need to read the 4th one, and then the 5th one is coming out this year, so I really want to read those 2. I might do a reread of these. I don't know yet. Then we have 3 Dark Crowns. It's getting angry downstairs. We have 3 Dark Crowns. I own the first one, so hopefully I can read that series. I also have Twin Crowns, the first one in that series, and hopefully to finish those. I put 3 Dark Crowns on my 25 and 2025 over Twin Crowns because this is 4 books and this one's 5. So just because it's 1 book shorter, I decided to go with the 3 Dark Crowns one instead. So yeah, that's literally the only reason. I hope I can get to both of them. I don't know if it'll be this year. We have the Empyrean series, so that's 4th Wing, so hoping to read those 2. And then it is 5 books, even though there's only 3 right now. It is slated to be a 5-book series, so I just have those on there as untitled. There's the House Witch series, which I didn't know was a series. I knew that there was the first one, which I got, but apparently they got really creative with the 2nd and 3rd one, but then the 4th one is an actual, like, different name, so I find that interesting. We'll see. And then we have the Mistborn Saga here. I've read the first 3 and I own the first 3. I borrowed one of my friends' The Secret History. I read that one, and then I do technically own the last 4. They're all on Kindle. Hope to get to that at some point. And then as we go over here to our trilogies, we have Daughter of the Pirate King, currently reading that. So we'll see if we continue that series. Shadow and Bone, I want to read that this year. Emily Wilde, I want to complete that series. Shadow of the Leviathan, one of my friends read The Tainted Cup, really loved it, and so I thought I would put that on here. It is slated right now as a trilogy, so we will see. Renegades is by Marissa Meyer. I tried to read it last year, wasn't in the right mindset, so we'll see if we can retry that again. We have the Wilder Songs trilogy. This was a fairy loot book. I got the first one of. So the next 2 are untitled, but it says it's the Wilder Songs trilogy, so I'm assuming trilogy. And then the Legend Board Cycle is a trilogy. The 3rd one's coming out very soon. Little Thieves, I've heard good things about it, so I want to try that. Will of the Many Hierarchy series, again, another friend read the Will of the Many, wants me to read it. It is apparently a trilogy so far. 3rd one hasn't come out yet. We'll see. And then we have Saga of the Unfated. That's a Fate Inked and Blood series. I really want to try that one. Chronicles of Castellane is Swordcatcher. I have that one. I want to read the rest. I own the first 2 of the Everland series, so really need to read those, and hopefully the last one. They are rather short. They're rather short books. I just haven't gotten to them. Haven Cove. I thought this was a duology. Apparently it's a trilogy. I own the first one on Kindle. We'll see if I like it enough to continue. Lord of the Rings. I would like to actually read those at some point. I've tried reading Fellowship of the Ring like 3 times. And then the Neverwood Chronicles, I believe by Shonda Hahn. I really like her books. So on here, as you can see, I don't have any books that I have completed the trilogy or the series of, because that would take way too long for me to put all of those on here, and I wanted it to be kind of a clean, fresh start of just series that I'm starting and finishing now. And then we have our duologies. So I have already DNF'd one duology. It's the Summoner's Circle. I read that book. I said, that was fine. I'm not gonna read the second one though. I'm okay. I don't even think the second one has come out yet. Then we have The King of Scars. I do want to read that one. Do not own it. Don't know why that is checked off. Elderly Lady, that is a duology, and that is one of our book club books this year. I know it's a duology, but they're really, really short, and so we made an exception that we could do 2 of them for 1 month. The Love's Academic. I thought this was really, really cool, and I believe, I can't remember exactly who it's by. I think it's India Holton, and I really want to try one of her books. I tried to try another one of her books, and I just couldn't get into it. So we will see. Time of Iron, So Long Live Evil. That's another Fairy Loot book that I have the first one of. We will see when the next one comes out. Better Than the Movies. I absolutely loved this book and I owned it. I'm hoping I can get the next one and read that one as well. Night Ends with Fire. It's another Fairy Loot book. Again, another duology. Tempest of Tea duology. I think that's really, really cool. I had a lot of people who read that and really liked it. I do want to read the Cerulean Chronicles, finish that second book that just came out. Hopefully it's just 2 books. It's 2 books that it says right now, but who knows. Stolen Air duology. I loved the Folks of the Air. Hopefully I can get my hands on those and read them. I don't think they're going to be nearly as good as the Cruel Prince series, probably just because I don't care too much about the people they made the main characters in the duology, but we'll see. And then Wires and Nerve is I think it's a graphic novel, but it's a duology that's kind of taken place after the events of the Lunar Chronicles, which I absolutely adore. So I've been wanting to read that for a very long time. And over here on the side, we have our completed as well as DNF'd. So as I go through, I can see which ones I've completed, which ones I've said I'm not finishing that. So we already have one there. Also up here at the top, we have some lovely stats and some lovely equations that we've put in here. I have how many I've read, as well as how many I still have unread. So only 14% has been completed. I have a total series of 37. I don't have any completed. I take away 1, as you can see up here, -1, every time that I DNF a series. So it's not even a part of the total, but I'm still at 0 because I haven't actually completed one. And then we have total titles unread as well as the ones completed in 2025. So I'm hoping as we keep going through, I can put over here like 2025 series read, and then this can just update to whatever the next year is. This is my books bought tracker. I'm hoping to keep better track of how many books that I buy each year. So this is what it looks like all zoomed out. Again, we'll zoom in. So we have the number, we have transaction month, so it just goes all the way through. Write in the title, the author, what format, physical, ebook, or audiobook, as well as where I acquire it from. So right now I have on there for either it comes from Fairy Loot, my subscription service, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, a friend or a family member, Target, an indie bookstore. I don't know if I'll get any books from any other places, but if I do, I can just add it on there. I have the amount that I've paid for it. I used a lot of credits, that's why it was only $3. And then I just click this if it's been read, and then if it's been unhauled, if I didn't want it anymore. So then I know, you know, hey, I've read this many books and I've bought this many books, but I haven't hauled this many, kind of thing. I can either put if it was bought, I bought it, or if it was gifted. If it was gifted, it's $0, but then I still see how many books I'm bringing in for the year. Over here, we again have little totals. So these update automatically, which I absolutely love, of the total spent, the percent that I've read of the books that I've gotten. So I love that. The amount of books that I've bought, which has only been 1. How many of those bought books have I read? And then the unhauled total, as well as the format of things that I bought. Moving on to the next one is my books read per month. I really like this, although I have a bunch of different ways to kind of show the books that I've read per month. I really like this one simply because of a couple of things that it can do equation-wise automatically that I can't really do by myself without taking a bunch of time on my iPad. The number, again, what month you read it in, title, the author, if it was a new author for me or if it was one that I was revisiting. So I do read a lot of Emily Henry, so that one wasn't new, but this was my first S.T. Gibson, so she was new. And then we have the format that I read it in. So this one was ebook. I put physical here. It's because I put here if I listened to it or not. I did not listen to anything for that book, but I did listen for that book. That's why. So I can still keep track of both. This one was from the library. This one was owned. And then I also have one where I can say if it was borrowed. I do have a couple books that I'm borrowing from friends. And then it's the rating number here, the date that I started it, and the date that I finished, which automatically populates here as to how many days did I take to read it. Both of them are 5, which I think is so funny that it took me 5 days for both of them. And then over here, we again have these stats populate by themselves. So I've read one new author, one returning author. I have my format here as well, owned versus library versus borrowed. How many star ratings here. I was gonna try to do like average star rating. That was way too hard of an equation to try to put in here. So I didn't do that. I'll just get that from my story graph. Longest amount of time spent reading so far has just been 5 days because that's both of them. And then over here, I'm interested to see how this goes throughout the year. So it just puts how many books I've read per month, automatically updates. And then down here is the best month. So whichever one I read the most books in, as well as struggle month. I didn't want to put worst month because it's not my worst month. It's just I maybe struggled to read more that month, and that's okay. I think it's really fun and I can't wait for it to fill up and just see what it looks like at the end of the year. Those are my kind of book tracking ways. So I not only use my iPad, which has lovely little cats and books on it, but I also use a spreadsheet. Let me know how you like to track your books. I obviously might go a little overkill on some of it, but I love seeing all the different stats. And if you have a favorite layout of mine, either from my iPad or if you really liked one of the spreadsheets, let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.